What if you were shown evidence that everything you thought you knew about modern medicine and what causes illness could be a profit-driven lie? Stick with me to the end of this video, and we'll explore one of the most shocking, hidden debates of modern medicine you've probably never heard of. In the world of medicine, two competing ideas about disease were battling for dominance. One was germ theory, popularized by Louis Pasteur. The other, a lesser-known perspective called terrain theory, supported by scientists like Antoine Béchamp. Germ theory proposed that tiny invisible pathogens, bacteria, viruses, are the root cause of disease. But terrain theory asked a different question. Could it be the condition of the body, the terrain, that determines whether illness develops? This video will explore these contrasting views, examining the evidence, and setting the stage for you to decide which theory you think is best supported by the evidence. Germ theory became the foundation of modern medicine. Hospitals, vaccines, antibiotics, all built around the idea that we must fight invaders. But here's something interesting. Has science ever truly isolated a virus and shown it to cause disease under controlled, reproducible conditions? One would assume this to be true, of course. Shockingly, to this day, there has never been any documented scientific proof of the proper isolation of an actual virus, and certainly no proof that these viruses are harmful to the body or cause illness. When the germ theory was first being proposed in the 19th century by forerunners Robert Koch and Louis Pasteur, it was very controversial and had many detractors within the scientific community. One critic in 1884 was so convinced that germ theory was wrong, he gulped down a glass of water that was mixed heavily with Vibrio cholerae, the deadly bacterium associated with cholera. Astounding his colleagues, he was completely unaffected by the pathogen. An article in Science magazine describing the incident stated, "For unexplained reasons, he remained symptom-free, but, nevertheless, incorrect." This sums up the selective nature of the modern scientific and medical communities when inconvenient data threatens their financial model. If they claim that Vibrio cholerae causes cholera, and this example showed that the man avoided cholera, how can he be incorrect? During the 1918 influenza pandemic, a series of 150 experiments were done nationally to better understand contagion. In one of several similar experiments, they attempted to infect 68 healthy volunteers from the U.S. Naval Detention Camp on Deer Island with the flu. The volunteers were injected with secretions from sick patients. Germs were sprayed into their nose and throat. Some were even brought face-to-face with flu patients who coughed directly in their faces. The result? Not one person got sick. Not one. The experiments were repeated over 150 times in various laboratories around the United States, on people and animals. And in not one instance were they able to pass illness from one patient to another through bodily fluids, breathing in their mouth, or coughing. What do you think so far? We would love if you shared your thoughts in the comments below. Germ theory proposed a radical new idea: specific microorganisms, too small to be seen with the naked eye, were responsible for causing infectious diseases. The advent of germ theory completely changed everything about medicine. The idea of contagion, pathogens, and consequently, how to kill or prevent them from causing illness. It led to the development of life-saving treatments, like antibiotics, created a demand for vaccines, and established hygiene practices. This groundbreaking concept emerged in the mid-19th century, spearheaded by the pioneering work of scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch. But was it true? Pasteur, through his experiments with fermentation and pasteurization, proved that microorganisms were responsible for the spoilage of food and beverages. In 1884, Robert Koch laid out 4 simple criteria designed to determine if a microorganism was responsible for the onset of an illness. These became known as Koch's postulates. Koch's postulates consisted of the following rules. 1. The microorganism must be found in abundance in all patients with the disease. 2. The pathogen must be isolated and grown in pure culture of the host cells. 1. It must be introduced to a healthy host, devoid of the pathogen, and cause the same disease when introduced to that healthy host. And 4. It must be re-isolated from that host and identified again to be the original pathogen. Seems straightforward, right? So why has no virus ever fulfilled all 4 steps? This is a shocking revelation, as everything we know about modern medicine is based upon this fundamental idea. Koch's postulates is considered the gold standard in infectious disease research and provided a systematic framework for identifying the causative agents of infectious diseases. However, when a lab attempts to satisfy the postulates, following the rules as Koch laid them out, they are unable to do so. The quickly devised clever ways to circumvent Koch's simple common-sense rules. When modern labs are told to isolate a virus, knowing they unable to satisfy the Koch's postulates, they circumvent them by changing them to the Rivers criteria, which are similar to Koch's rules. However, they completely eliminate the criteria that shows causation and proves nothing other than association. Still, the researcher will claim that they isolated the virus according to Rivers criteria. The most critical criterion for establishing that a microorganism causes a specific illness is demonstrating that the purified virus or bacterium, when introduced into a healthy host, will reliably and repeatedly induce the same disease. This step is the cornerstone of proving causation over association and is considered the most essential of all the postulates. The importance of that step is monumental. For example, let's say you drive by a house fire and you see a group of firefighters all around the burning house. Then you drive by another house fire and see more firefighters around the house. Someone in your car says, "Every house fire we see, these firefighters are there. It's obvious that the firefighters must have caused the fire." This is an example how easily one can confuse association with causation. The firefighters are obviously not starting the fires. It's quite the opposite. They are putting them out. They are associated with the fire and didn't cause the fire. The same example is true for viruses or bacteria. Just because they are present at infection sites doesn't make them the cause of it. They could simply be the cleanup crew. If they were the cause, introducing them to a healthy host should cause the illness. However, that is not what we see when the experiment is performed repeatedly in a lab. Yet, the scientific community keeps blaming the firefighters. The way the industry is set up, it doesn't reward those that question the narrative. Research to prove things that threaten their financial incentives receive no funding from grants and results in ridicule from peers. The impact of germ theory on medicine was profound and far-reaching, leading to many good things, even though it has yet to be proven. For example, it led to the development of antiseptic techniques in surgery, dramatically reducing post-operative infections. However, terrain theory advocates argue that viruses cannot be shown to cause illness in laboratory experiments, using the scientific method and easily repeatable methods. Therefore, the theory is false, and results cannot be predicted. Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch were pivotal figures in the establishment of germ theory. Their groundbreaking research provided the foundation for modern microbiology and infectious disease control. Pasteur's experiments with fermentation, a process previously believed to be purely chemical, led to the discovery that microorganisms were responsible for the transformation of sugar into alcohol. This discovery had profound implications, not just for the understanding of fermentation, but also for the preservation of food and beverages. Pasteur's process of pasteurization, which involved heating liquids to kill harmful microbes, revolutionized food safety and continues to be used worldwide today. The contributions of Pasteur and Koch, along with other pioneers in the field, marked a turning point in the history of medicine. Yet their work also sparked controversy and debate. It is disturbing that still to this day, not a single virus has satisfied Koch's postulates. Labs will write papers claiming they satisfied modified versions of the postulates, essentially cheating to pass the test. While germ theory has dominated medical science, many scientists and healthcare practitioners who are in positions that are immune to career persecution argue that it cannot be proven in a lab. While terrain theory, an alternative perspective that emphasizes the importance of a healthy lifestyle, proper nutrition, and a balanced internal environment in preventing illness, seems to fit the equation. Proponents of terrain theory, like 19th-century French physiologist Claude Bernard, argued that the body is not simply a passive victim of invading microbes. Instead, they viewed the body as a complex ecosystem, where the balance of internal conditions, the terrain, plays a crucial role in either resisting or succumbing to illness. Imagine two gardens, one meticulously tended with rich soil, healthy plants, and a thriving ecosystem of beneficial insects. The other, neglected and overrun with weeds, depleted soil, and vulnerable to pests. This analogy, often used to illustrate terrain theory, highlights the importance of a healthy internal environment in warding off disease. Terrain theory suggests that a strong and balanced internal environment with a robust immune system, optimal pH levels, and healthy gut flora is better equipped to fend off pathogens. Conversely, a weakened terrain, compromised by factors like poor nutrition, stress, environmental toxins, and chronic inflammation, creates a breeding ground for disease, making the body more susceptible to opportunistic infections. This perspective doesn't deny the existence of germs, but rather their ability to cause illness. All observations point to germs as being the cleanup crew for dead, dying, or toxic cells. What we feel as a flu, or any illness, is the body eliminating toxins. This has nothing to do with germs, which is why they don't satisfy the postulates. Instead, it shifts the focus from an experimentally elusive external boogeyman threat to a more holistic view that acknowledges the critical role of the body's internal defenses in determining health outcomes. As we look to the future, integrating the principles of terrain theory with modern medical advancements could pave the way for more comprehensive and effective healthcare strategies. Personalized medicine, holistic wellness programs, and community health initiatives are just a few examples of how this integrated approach could revolutionize our understanding and treatment of disease. If you enjoyed this topic, please don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.